Welcome to these video notes by Dr. D. Today we will cover the first chapter of Class 11 Legal Studies. Every country has a government that makes laws, maintains order, and ensures security. But what exactly is a state? Many people confuse state, government, and country, but these terms have different meanings. In this lesson, we will discuss: what is a state? How does Article 12 define a state in India? Different theories about the origin of the state. The four essential elements of a state. And the role of the state in modern governance. Let's begin. A state is a politically organized body of people that exercises sovereignty over a specific territory. The state includes the government, laws, and people living under it. It should not be confused with country, which refers to the geographical area occupied by a state. Government, which is the system that runs the state and takes care of its territorial integrity and sovereignty. For example, India is a state, but within India, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, and Gujarat are also called states, though they are not independent. In India, the Constitution defines the term state under Article 12. The term state includes the Government and Parliament of India, that is, the central government and legislature. The government and legislature of each state, that is, the state governments and assemblies. Local authorities such as municipalities and panchayats. And other authorities under government control, including public sector organizations. This definition is important because it determines who must follow or enforce the fundamental rights and constitutional provisions, as mentioned in Part 3 of the Constitution. The judiciary is not explicitly mentioned in Article 12, but in certain cases, courts have ruled that the judiciary can be considered part of the state when performing non-judicial functions. How did the state come into existence? Different thinkers have proposed different theories. These theories explain why people accepted authority, formed governments, and created structured societies. The social contract theory is the most widely applied of these. It suggests that people originally lived in a state of chaos, no rules, no government, which led to conflicts. To ensure peace, people agreed to give up some of their freedom in exchange for protection under a governing body. This agreement or contract led to the formation of the state. Three philosophers have explained this theory in different ways. Hobbes believed that people are selfish and need a strong ruler to control them. Locke suggested that people are reasonable and should therefore form a government to protect life, liberty, and property. Rousseau argued that the government should serve the general will of the people. The idea of democracy is based on this particular idea of a social contract as argued by Rousseau. Thus people elect leaders and agree to follow laws for the benefit of society. The second major theory that we have is the divine theory. It argues that the state was created by God, and that kings and monarchs are the representatives of God on earth. For example, the ancient Egyptian pharaohs were considered living gods, and the kings of Europe justified their rule as divine right of kings. The kinship theory is the third major theory of statehood. It suggests that family is the foundation of the state, according to Aristotle in Politics. R.M. Makiware suggested that as families grew larger, they formed clans, tribes, and eventually organized societies with rules and leadership. Leadership then passed down through generations to forming hereditary monarchies and ruling families. Two main strands of kinship theory are patriarchal and matriarchal theories. Sir Henry James, in The Spirit of Laws, described patriarchy as when the oldest male of the family assumes leadership and extends kinship bonds by polygamy, that is, taking many wives. This is also referred to as patria potestas. The matriarchal perspective argues the following. Families evolved from the matriarchal, in the primitive ages, to the patriarchal, during the pastoral age. Here, the mater familias, mother as the head of family, is the martia potestas, mother as the final authority. Practice of polyandry is existent. An alternative to the traditional matriarchy is the totem group in Australia, which practices both polygamy and polyandry. This was pointed out by Edward Jenks. There are three criticisms of kinship theories. The authority of a state derives from the population's wishes rather than through genetics. The authority to rule is derived from competence and status rather than blood relations. The purpose of state formation is different than that of family. We must remember that each of these theories explains a different way the state could have originated. In reality, however, modern states may have evolved through a combination of these factors. For a political unit to be considered a state, it must have four essential elements. Population. A state must have people living in it. The size of the population does not matter. India has over 1.4 billion people, while Vatican City is a state with only about 800 people. Territory. Every state must have a defined geographical boundary, including land, water, and airspace. India's borders include these elements, making it a sovereign entity. Government. The state functions through a government, which enforces laws and policies. Different countries have different forms of government, such as democracy, monarchy, or dictatorship. Sovereignty. A state must have full control over its own affairs. It should not be under the authority of any other country. Before 1947, India was not sovereign as it was under British rule. The state plays a critical role in governing society and ensuring its smooth functioning. Overall, a state may undertake 5 primary activities. These are: maintaining law and order internally, that is within its territory; defending and securing the country from external threats; providing education, healthcare, and employment opportunities to its population and thereby taking care of their welfare and development; regulating the economy, that is, managing industries, taxation, and trade policies; and finally, establishing and maintaining diplomatic relations with foreign countries. Sometimes, however, some countries may choose to focus on a few functions exclusively at the cost of others. Andrew Hewood's classification helps to understand this selective focus. For example, a minimal state only focuses on internal and external security and leaves the economy alone. Philosophers such as Locke, Mill, Bentham, and several others advocated for such a state. A collectivized state such as the People's Republic of China has a very strictly regulated economic model and maintains law and order with an iron hand. A totalitarian state, as described by Hegel, would subjugate its population rather than help them thrive. As such, it is not clear if it can carry out any state function in an effective way. The developmental and social democratic models are both focused on welfare and economic regulation, but among the two, the social democratic state is also concerned with equity and social justice. Finally, we may conclude that today, most countries follow the welfare model, where the state works across all of the 5 major functions. Understanding the concept of state helps us better appreciate how governments function and what rights and duties citizens have within a legal framework. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more legal studies lessons.